All right. So are you watching it on Facebook or are you watching it on Blue Jean?
I'm watching it on Blue Jean right now. I'm about to move to
Okay.
Facebook real quick. Okay. All right, let's see. All righty. I'm double checking to see if we're live on the page. Yep, there we are. We're live. Welcome, everybody.
All
That comic show. Some old guys having fun and talking comics.
right.
There we go.
So I guess it's Tracy because I'm using her computer.
Oh, I bet that's exactly what it is.
So,
I bet you that's exactly what's going on. All right, I gotta mute. I'm gonna mute Facebook because I get that double talk here. So
yeah.
cool. All right, back in there. So, what do you want to talk about comic-wise? What's going on?
Well, I I'm pretty excited about some of the stuff coming out. So uh, I was going to talk about what I've been doing now that I've caught up reading all my old comics, all my
Ooh,
new
cool.
comics. I mean,
Okay.
so one of the things that I'm really excited about is Empire coming out from Marvel.
Yes. That
So,
first book looks amazing.
well, that's what made me do it. It's because I was reading through Road to Empire, and it
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, I need to reread this. I need to reread this. So
Mm-hmm.
I reread the Kree Skrull War trade paperback,
Cool. Okay.
the original one from the Avengers, and then I
Right.
reread the Celestial Madonna, since that's their son is the one that's going to be doing a lot of this stuff.
Right.
And now I'm in the middle of rereading the Invasion.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So those are all the ones that I'm reading to, so that I'll be all caught up and ready to go when the they finally start printing comics again and Empire comes out. Because I think it's going to be a really good series.
Oh, I think so too. I'm really excited about that one. It's just it's just got that feel of like a classic Marvel, like crossover, like kind of like the old days,
Yeah.
like fun
Well,
stuff. So
it's written by Al Ewing,
yeah.
so that it's going to have characters that. Oh, and that was the other one that I reread, or I read for the first time because I didn't read it when it came out. But did you read Meet the Skrulls?
I did. That was a fun book.
Yeah, because those characters are going to be in it as well. So,
Cool. Yeah,
and you can
actually.
see. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say it sounds like a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. So
Yeah, and you can see where it jumps out from Marvel 1000 and Marvel 1001. So,
yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna comment. We have some guys that are commenting on it real quick, so I'm gonna talk to them
hey
here.
Harold, how's it going?
Cool. And if anybody wants to join us, all you got to do is just send me an instant message, and we can get you guys here in the group, and you can chat with us online, if you guys want. Hey Ron, I think we lost your video or audio. Sorry.
No, I'm still here.
Are you
Can you
okay?
hear me?
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I'm looking at it on Facebook, and there's a delay. So it was delayed. I didn't hear anything because I have it muted over there, and I was like, "What's
Well,
going on?"
and the other thing is I'm using this new mic, which is a directional mic, so it's not supposed
Oh,
to pick up all of the extra noises. So
okay,
we'll
cool.
see. The first time my dogs go howling out, we'll see how it does.
There you go. Mine will bark at some point in time too, as
Yeah.
well. So I guess let's talk to everybody and tell them kind of what our plan is for that comic show.
Yeah.
So um, I know that things we talked about doing is we're going to have a rotating format, so it's not going to basically be just the two of us sitting here talking heads, each and every week. I know you have something lined up for next week, right?
Yeah, next week we've got 4 local creators that are going to be on the show, where they will be basically selling their books, telling you why you should be buying their books. And so we'll have
That's
them
awesome.
for sale on the show.
That's cool. That's going to be a lot of fun. To any of hey, Kevin Freeman, thanks for joining us, man. You too, Michael Dominguez and Carlos Acevedo and Harold Witherspoon. If anybody would like to join us in the chat, hey, Jordan, welcome, man. If you'd like
I
to
think
join
Travis is here with us too.
Oh, cool. Is he in the group or the?
I just see him on my little thing saying who's watching now.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Well, if anybody wants to actually be a part of the conversation and come in and chat with Ron and I, if you have a video camera set up, all you need to do is send me an instant message through Facebook, and I can send you a link that'll allow you to download this really quick, easy software called Blue Jeans, and you can jump right in and join us. And we'd love to have, that's kind of what we want this to be, is more of an interactive conversation with everybody, not just us talking.
And you don't even have to download the software, I don't think. I think you can just do it from browser.
Yeah, it's really cool. You can do browser too. You're right. So that's pretty cool. So the other kind of things that we're planning on doing too, real fast is I love game shows. So we're going to do a game show as well too. A couple of different ones. We've talked about like a win, lose, or draw comic book edition, a $25 pyramid.
Same thing as Pictionary?
It is. It's the same concept essentially. $25 comic book pyramid, a Jeopardy version, password, just all kinds of fun stuff. Some things to help us, pass the time. Essentially, is what we're looking at. Hey, David Valandry joined, and Rose Clark, welcome. Guys, if as I told everybody a few minutes ago, if anybody wants to join in the conversation, if you have a webcam and you want, just shoot me an instant message here on Facebook, and I can go ahead and send you guys the link, and we can get you in here. We have 13 people that have joined us today.
Hey, Michael, you were asking if you could pick up your order. I will be up there from 10 until noon tomorrow. So if you want to pick up your order between 10 and noon, I will be there.
Cool. So yeah, and I'll be at Kettler from noon to 4, and then deliveries 4 to 5. So.
Yep. And part of tonight is also us playing with the new software, figuring out how it works and everything, so that next week when we have guests on here, we'll have a better idea and know what we can do and make sure it works a little bit.
Yeah, and if it goes silent for a minute, that's me typing or us trying to figure something out. So.
Yeah.
That's really all that it is. That's Ella behind me for anybody who wants to see Ella, or maybe if I should go this way. That's Ella. She's over there. She'll bark at some point. They all will. They all will. So we talked about what some formats we're going to go and do in the future. We're doing the game show. We're doing the creator signings. I think having a back issue comic show too, where we talk about what everybody, what everybody's collecting, or basically a show and tell would be a lot of fun too. Show what you bought recently. Hold up some books and stuff.
Harold's on here right now, and he just messaged me saying that he picked up a 1975 Ghost Rider #1 Andy's show. So
wow,
he's pretty stoked about that.
Well, he needs to get on camera and show us that book is what he needs to do. I'll tell you. There goes one of the dogs. So this has always been fun for me. This is I need to hold this up where I can see what's happening here. So this has always been a favorite book for me. I've always loved Shogun Warriors from Marvel, along with Micronauts as well too.
So you like giant robots and miniature people?
Hey, from one extreme to another. What can I tell you? So I don't think I have any Micronauts that actually, I might have a Micronauts number 8. I can hold that up if I can find it.
I
But
didn't
yeah,
bring
man,
any show and tell tonight.
well, I happen to be here, and it's in my room, and I have all the boxes here, and I just got to dig through them real quick, and because I know it was in a recent sale that I did, and it just didn't sell. So, oh, here's a really nice one too for anybody that hasn't seen this. Check that out.
Yep.
That is a beautiful book too, and it's in great condition as well too, guys. So,
And the funniest part about that is, it's number one in a 4-issue limited series. Only the
yes,
series kept on going after number 4.
it
So,
absolutely did.
so when it ended on number 80, whatever it ended on, 86 or 87, it
Yep.
said on the cover, it said number 86 of a 4-issue limited series. So I thought that was kind of fun.
Nice, that is fun. Well, for some reason I can't find Micronauts. It must be somewhere else. But I have a copy of Micronauts number 8. I put in one of the sales. That is.
How could you want to get rid of it?
Well, I mean, we'll get another. We'll get another one at some point. So yeah.
So
I was digging
Michael,
around.
tonight is, let's see if I can get it up here. Apothic Red. I like it because it's a wine, but it's been aged in whiskey barrels for like half a year, so it's whiskey that doesn't have the same kick. You get the whiskey taste, but not the kick.
Nice, very nice. Cool. And I'm drinking a fine vintage from our friends at Sonic. There you go, sir. This is one of my favorite concoctions. It is Sprite Zero with 3 shots of cherry flavoring.
Hey, Brandon just joined us. Brandon, I have some awesome news for you. I found a certain Thor issue that you're looking for.
Nice. So, guys, one other thing to mention real quick as well, too. You do not have to have a camera. I believe you can go live from your phone, can't you, Ron? Didn't you do that once?
Yes, I didn't do it, but you can go live from your phone too. Yeah.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to just try and hop on, we would love to have a conversation with everybody. I think it's so much better when we get together as a group and start talking. So you're among peers, so don't feel like you're going to be shy or anything. Okay. So I'll tell you what. So tell me some of the books that you found in the sales and stuff that we've been doing lately that you were surprised and happy to see again. Hey, Brandon. Ron, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I was asking you, tell me some books that you found in the sales that we've been doing that you were surprised and were kind of happy to see again.
Oh, I thought you were talking to the guys. I didn't know you
Oh,
were
no,
talking to me.
no. I was talking to you. I'll call you out by name next time.
Yeah. um, it's the same thing anytime I go through back issues. You just go through back issues and then every once in a while you'll stop. Tracy says I stop and I just stare off into space. And I'm
Yep.
not really staring off into space. I'm just remembering exactly when and where I read it for the first time.
Yep.
And it's just so many of my memories, especially growing up, are built around comic books.
Oh
So,
yeah. Oh yeah. I'll tell you what. Brandon is going to shoot either me or you a message in a minute. If you want to send him the link, if he shoots you a one. Um,
I don't have a link to send. Oh, I can just send him the same link you sent me.
yeah. If you look, is there? Yeah. Send him the same one I sent because it leads to this room so he can chat with us
Okay,
here.
cool.
I'm with you. I'm the same with you. The same thing as you, man. Too. I do the same. The other thing that I don't know if it's just me, but like once I see a comic, I can know immediately if I've read that book or not. and I can remember this, I can remember pages and flashes of splash pages and panels and just
Oh
it
yeah.
all comes flooding back to me at the time.
Well, like I said, it was reading The Road to Empire that made me want to go back and reread all these old stories because
Right.
basically The Road to Empire it would give a page or maybe 2 pages to a whole storyline that happened.
Yeah.
And they would take out just one, seminal image or something that just brought it all back to me. And so far, like I said, between all the ones that I reread Kree Skrull War, the Celestial Madonna storyline,
Yeah.
and I'm rereading Invasion right now. All of them have held up.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you go back and you reread older books and they don't quite hold up the way that you want them to.
Yep. No, that's
But
true. That's very true.
all of these have so far.
Yeah. Well, that's like today. I was going through stuff at Keller, and I pulled about probably 3 short boxes worth of books out for stuff I want to sell, and I'm going through it, and all of a sudden I get to Micronauts number 50 or the 60, I think it was. I'm like, man, I haven't read that in a while. So I opened it up and started flipping through it, and it just a flood of memories came back about,
Oh yeah.
just like I remember having a subscription, and then because I didn't live in the town where the comic shop was, so I had to wait, and then they went bi-monthly, so I couldn't wait, so I subscribed. Then I found out that subscribers got their books 2 weeks later, and I was like, no! So I would go buy it. So I have double copies of a lot of those books because I would buy one, and then I would still pick it up at the comic shop and get my
Yeah.
sub. So
I wish I still had, or sometimes I wish I still had the books like you do that were the original ones that you bought. But when I had Heroes, I keep on.
yeah.
I forget. It's like I almost called it collected. But when I had Heroes, all of my books went for sale up there. So
Yeah.
I don't have, any of the original ones anymore. I've
I
rebought them several times.
Yeah, no, I did that. When we had my first store, and like the paper here or 4-color comics, which became Paper Heroes in Waco. I did all that, and I was selling at conventions too. But there are certain books that no matter what, I don't care. Those got set aside for me, and I didn't sell those. And Micronauts is one of those. It's like the one that, and I think. I have a copy of Alex Ross's Kingdom Come, and it's a red leather slipcase that is leather bound Kingdom Come, and then a leather bound sketch gallery that it's all signed by Alex.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's one thing too that I bought that and I said I'm never selling that.
Yeah.
Because I just loved that story so much.
I think I still have. I have back when um, you could find bookbinders.
Yes.
I had a lot of comics bound together into leather. Yeah, you're looking on your bookshelf too.
I
see
sure
that.
did, man. I made a turn.
So I have a hardback that I had bound together of my favorite DC stories. I have the
Cool.
whole Frank Miller run that's bound together in a hardback. Frank Miller
Oh,
Daredevil
nice.
story, Daredevil run.
Hey, I
Uh,
just found a run of books that we can bind together.
what's that?
I have a full set of Watchmen first printing, 1 through 12.
Uh, no, I don't want to bind those together. I want to sell those.
Oh man, yeah, I was digging through stuff yesterday and I found a full set.
Yeah, I looked through the Frank Miller Daredevil, that I had bound
Oh,
together, and
yeah,
that first Elektra is gorgeous. The first Frank Miller is gorgeous, and it's like,
yeah,
wow, if I hadn't have cut these up and bound them together, this would be, a couple of
Oh my
$1,000 worth of
God.
books.
right. All right, that's Penny, by the way, guys, who is peeping over my shoulder. When she doesn't get enough attention, she comes and crawls up my back and puts her head right here on my shoulder or looks over. So yeah. I lucked out. The only bound book I actually have is I got a copy or a set of Micronauts and X-Men. Remember that crossover they did?
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, I was somewhere, some bookstore, I don't know what it was, and I was digging through stuff, and somebody had actually taken one to a bookbinder and had it bound, and then
Oh,
had
wow.
had the title of the book engraved on the spine.
Oh yeah, you have to do that.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing is the binders can do so much, to
Oh
make
yeah.
it such a special package.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a lot of fun. Uh, every so often I run across it and stuff that I'm doing. I go, oh yeah, you know. Cool. Okay, so Michael Dominguez says he remembers going to Murphy's at Seminary South and buying the latest edition of Batman. Good times, could not tell where those comics went. I think my dad tossed them out during a garage cleaning. Oh man, that's
What was
crazy.
Murphy's?
Probably, I bet a grocery store.
Was it a grocery store or a bookstore?
Hey, Mark Totillo, welcome, man. If anybody, again, I mentioned this to everybody. If you want to join the conversation, if you can do it from your phone. You can do it from your computer. Just send us a message to either to Ron or I, and we will send you a link through Facebook.
I just sent the link to Brandon, so it looks like he's going to try.
Sweet. The more the merrier. Hey, Mark, welcome, man.
I think Brandon's stuck down in Houston. He's an electrician, so he works out of town all the time. So,
wow.
In fact, the last time I saw him was at the Son of Houston convention down in Houston.
That's right. He bought some stuff from you, didn't
he? Yep.
Hey, Michael Smith, welcome. Again, I'm going to repeat this again for everybody. If anybody wants to join this conversation, you can do it from your phone or your webcam, either one. Message either Ron or I, and we'll send you a link. We'd love to have you on here with us.
Ella has her toy back there behind you.
Oh, yes, she does, and she wants to play. You can see how they get my attention, can't you?
Yeah.
Get out of that. Oh, my gosh. They're getting into stuff, too. That's the other thing. Because I had to go to work today. They didn't like that one bit. Cool. Let's see.
I like the old grocery stores. Oh, it was a 5 and dime. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Five and dime with a lunch counter.
Oh, that's awesome. Like Woolworths?
Yep.
That's so cool. Hey, Michael Smith, welcome, sir. If you want to join the conversation, I know you have a webcam. I know you've got your phone. Just shoot us a message, okay? We'll send you a link. We'll get you in here. You can chat with us.
I sent the link to...
There's Penny. Hey, Penny. Can y'all see her?
Yep.
Hi, Penny. Hi, Penny. Penny's a good girl. Good girl, Penny. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Have fun. Go have fun.
Like, Dad, how can I have fun without you?
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Oh, you got everything filed that you picked up. That's awesome, man. Very cool. All right. I think Michael's going to send us a link, too.
Cool.
See here, I copied this link. I can message Michael. I'll get him in here. Michael Smith. There we go. All right, Michael, I am sending you a link, sir. There you go. Just follow that with your computer or your phone, and you should be able to hop in this video chat with us, and we'll have you've been wanting to have a get-together. Michael has been telling me, he's like, hey, when all the stores reopen, we should have a big get-together of all the back-issue guys and sit around and talk. Here's your chance. Let's do it.
You don't have to wait.
No, sir, you do not. Not one bit. So.
Man, I tell you what, the weather was beautiful out there today.
Oh, it was. I opened my doors, front door and back door at Keller, and just let the breeze blow through.
After
it was so awesome.
Almost 100 yesterday.
It was ridiculous.
Reminded me how much I did not want to be at summertime again. Hey, Eric James, how are you doing?
Hey, did Eric join us? All right. Okay, so Ron, I got a quick question before everybody else comes in.
Okay.
So, favorite individual hero and favorite teams from Marvel and DC.
individual hero for Marvel would be Thor,
Okay.
and Avengers is my team.
Okay.
Although the Defenders come in a really close second.
Don't steal my thunder. Do not steal my thunder.
And for DC, I'm a Batman guy. So
Okay.
Batman, but my favorite team is Justice Society.
Oh, nice. Hey,
Michael.
you joined us. Welcome.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Not
Hey,
much,
this
man.
is
How
pretty
are you?
cool, man.
Right?
I kind of like this. What's up, Ron?
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Brandon. Welcome, man.
Got it all right? Hell, I see the nerd herd's finally. The nerd herd's drizzling in a little bit at a time. I just got
Yeah.
So, Brandon, what's on the wall behind you back there?
Oh, a lot of good stuff, actually. I've been trying to work on this little project for a while. Let me see if I can kind of take you back there and let you see. I'm brand new to this software, so you'll have to forgive me. But
Oh, no problem.
We all are.
This is
We
what
all are.
this is what was basically my man cave, which is being converted into my little comic cave, if you will. And that really cool Venom poster, the Lethal Protector poster that I found there in the shop, and then I've gotten the little I forget what they call it, J channel.
Oh, so you
And
did it
I've
like
just
we
kinda
did
gone
in the
through
store.
and-
Yeah.
Exactly. I've just gone through and kind of started trying to put up some of my, my favorite like Venom and Carnage titles. There's some Spider-Man stuff,
Awesome.
some stuff that I found in the drawers, hunting through the shops on my little expeditions. One of my most favorite things to do, certainly.
Cool.
So, yeah, it's coming along. It's a work in progress, but I have found a lot of cool posters and stuff there at the shop. I'm really thankful to have discovered the shop and met Ron and met you, Brent. I haven't got to know you quite as well as I've gotten to know Ron, but do you work at Keller? Is that your?
I do. Yeah,
Okay.
Keller's the store that I'm at.
Now-
So you have to come up to Keller.
I need to get up there at some point.
Yeah,
All the coolest back issues are at Keller, just so you know.
I don't know about that.
I have to agree. I'm sorry, Ron. I'm partial to Keller. I love the Fort Worth store, but I'm partial to Keller.
It's only because you live so close.
Man, and I'm missing my Saturday mornings. I go in there and park my butt at a table, pull a box out, and the sales online auctions, and then stopping by on Thursday or Friday or Saturday or whenever. That's fine for right now, but man, I am jonesing my hanging out at Keller.
So guys,
we
I'll tell you.
We have a question from Carlos in here. So Carlos was asking how the close down effect will affect storytelling for writers and comics. I think the best thing that's going to happen from the close down is that all of the comics can get on schedule and actually get ahead of schedule. But we won't have stuff like the Doomsday Clock number 12, or like Batman, the Three Jokers book. The Three Jokers book is going to be completely done before they even, release it. And that's the cool thing about taking a 2 or 3 week break. It allows all of the writers and artists to catch up on all their stuff.
Right. If I could interrupt for 1 second, we've had some new people join. Just for anybody interested, just like Brandon and Michael have, if anybody wants to join this conversation, please feel free to send a Facebook message to either Ron or I, and we will send you a link that will allow you to come in either on your phone or on your computer, whatever you'd like to do. We'd love to continue the conversation with more people. We can host up to, I think, 100 people on this thing. So,
It's important to know.
I'm just as much of I love Twitter. I'm a Twitter hound. So, in fact, if y'all ever get around to follow me, it's El Diablo Comico. And right now I've got my avatar is Punisher. But anyway, a lot of Rob Liefeld. I nominated you guys with Rob Liefeld. I don't know if you'll ever get anything, but if more people that are on Twitter would respond to him, I nominated Collected Stores for some cash. You know, he's doing auctions. He's auctioning off artwork and then giving the money.
Thank you.
So is George Perez, and he's got a lot of artists getting on board with him to do the same. But I hadn't figured out how to nominate with him yet.
I know there's some other artists doing that besides Liefeld as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the other two that just announced were Art Adams and who else? Art Adams and crap. I can't remember.
Somebody else big is doing it.
Crap is a good artist.
I can't remember who it is, but I heard that the other day as well. So, which I think that's great. I would
love an Art Adams.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
that would be,
oh my God.
Incredible. That would be incredible.
That'd be
absolutely.
Well,
I think Art Adams. I think he crawled into bed with George Perez and a bunch of other guys, auctioning off their artwork to give the funds then to comic and indie bookstores.
Yeah. There's
great.
awesome. There's an awesome group out there called BINC, BINC, and that's where they're donating all their money. And even DC Comics donated $250,000 to it.
Oh wow,
that's awesome!
Wow, yeah.
And we've already filled out our application, so hopefully we'll get a little piece of that.
Yeah, cool. That would be great. That would be great. So, anything to help the store.
Absolutely. So, guys, I posed a question to Ron before you guys joined, and I'm going to pose it to you guys as well, too. So, give me your favorite individual hero and your favorite team from both Marvel and DC growing up.
Well, I'll start. For me, that's pretty easy. I'm a Silver Surfer. I'm Silver Surfer, man. In fact, I played Ron's game on his wall the other day, and it's almost all Silver Surfer. And then my favorite team is Avengers. As far as and on DC, of course, I'm a Batman / Dark Knight guy. But
there you go.
I'm not, for some reason, I never really got into Justice League. I'm not. In fact, other than Batman and maybe Green Lantern, I'm not a huge DC guy. I'm a Marvel fanboy. I love me some Marvel comics.
I confess to being the same.
Okay.
If it's not obvious, my favorite individual character by a mile, and has been since I was about 14, is Venom. And, I remember that age being 14, and, I used to ride my bike to the drugstore and buy comic books at the drugstore, and that was where I would get my
comics. Off the spinner rack, right?
Yeah, it was like, I can't remember what the name of the little drugstore in the town in Oklahoma I lived in was, but they had just a little spinning rack, that would have comic books on it, and I remember going in there when Lethal Protector came out and buying that and riding back home with it very carefully in the bag on my bicycle, so it didn't get damaged or anything, and trying to take immaculate care of that book. And, I have a lot of bad stories with comic books. I don't know what happened to some of the great comics that I've had over the years, but as I've got back into collecting, I just kind of picked up where I left off with Venom. If I have a favorite team, it's probably, I know it's kind of cliche, but it's X-Men, I read a lot of, I read a lot of X-Men as a kid also, and I read X Factor and stuff like that too.
Cool.
And those were some of my favorite things to read growing up. And, kind of like Michael said, I'm not a super huge DC guy. I do think Green Lantern is pretty cool. If you guys would like to see something, I can show you something really cool that I've just gotten back, and I've been waiting for months to get this back, and I'm super excited about it. Pairs really well with something else I have, but I just got this back this last week, and it's not the greatest, but it's still something I'm really, really proud of.
Cool.
Super happy to have this in my collection now. I don't know. Let's see if I can get it up there.
Oh, yes.
I can't see it. Brandon, what is it?
Yeah, oh, wow.
My lighting
I'm on a cell phone, so it's real hard for me to see.
It's is
the Green Lantern, Green Arrow, where Edie was 85. Shooting up heroin.
Yeah, I've got the issue. In fact, I got Joe Gaila and Neil Adams both to sign it at the North Texas Comic Con.
Okay, so at North Texas, I got Neil Adams to sign an 11x17 print. And he signed my name. He said to Brandon on it, and I had a whole dialogue with him. He is such a nice guy, such a very down to earth individual.
He is, but man, he is expensive.
I don't know that. This has a meaning to me. Ron knows me a little bit, like Ron knows I'm a college student. I go to TCC. I take 9 classes at TCC as well as working full time. But I'm studying to be a substance abuse counselor. And, I've got kind of an unflattering past, like a lot of us probably do, but I've been able to overcome some things, and I'm sober now, clean and sober now. And comics has been a huge part of that for me. And so like that issue particular, it just holds kind of a special place to me, especially with where they were at in society when they made that book. This book's almost 50 years old. I think that's from 1971. So, but like that's, guys were coming home from Vietnam back then, and they had discovered opium there and stuff like that, and it started becoming a problem in the United States. They started seeing overdoses. And we live in a society now where we have the same thing, but it's just with prescription drugs and stuff that people get from the doctors. And so, things come full circle, and that's the discussion that I had with Neil. And, he said, I've probably had 3 or 4 people tell me over the years, that book helped them get clean, or kind of turn their lives around or something like that. So just kind of a cool story. It was great to finally meet Neil, to get that signed print, and to actually have this in the collection now. I'm super happy about it. So,
I actually I have a little blog. Nobody really goes to it. Brent's probably seen it because I wrote an article about Collected Keller on it. But I did a blog piece actually on 3 arcs from the 70s that all dealt with some sort of substance abuse. And a month or 2 before the 2 issues of Green Lantern, 85 and 86, came out, Stan Lee was contacted by Nixon's administration, and they did a Spider-Man. In fact, the little stamp label, I forget what is it called, Ron or Brent?
Code Authority.
Yeah, they wouldn't even put the code on the books, but Stan Lee went ahead and published them anyway. So that's Brandon. Those are a couple more you should check into. And then if you don't have the Iron Man 123, 128, Demon in the Bottle arc, which deals
great
with
story.
I know that one. I love that one too. That's a cool one.
That's a great story.
I need to add that to the collection.
Yeah.
But I did a blog on all 3 of those arcs because they dealt. I thought it was kind of provocative in the 70s for comic books to start tackling those types of social issues. I mean, they had already started tackling race issues and whatnot, but substance abuse and alcoholism. And I've even went so far as to email Bob Layton trying to do a questionnaire interview with him because I wanted to get his take on what he thought about how the Spider-Man one about drugs, the Green Lantern one about drugs, and his Demon in the Bottle arc, how that might have affected how we see the way comics are really diving into social issues now.
I think
what
great,
effect he thought those might have on today's current crop of young artists that are tackling social issues. I think those 3 arcs of the 70s probably played a pretty good part in allowing that to really start going, and as time has went on.
I would have to imagine so.
Yeah.
I would have to imagine so. That's really cool, and I agree with you 100%. I think it's nice to see comics tackle real life social issues and maybe things that are uncomfortable to talk about. It just gets the message across in a different way. People relate to comic books, people that enjoy comic books relate to them a lot, and the characters that they're reading about. So I think that's really awesome when writers will do stuff like that, So
yeah,
that's why I laugh every time somebody says that social justice warrior has just started happening in comics. It's like you've never been reading comics then. We do have a couple of people that aren't on camera with us, but Rex said his favorite hero is Spider-Man and his favorite team is West Coast Avengers. Yep, West Coast Avengers was a lot of fun.
I was gonna say West Coast
that's
gonna
Avengers
be
is pretty cool.
That's going to be one of my next series I start diving into, and Brent has a ton of West Coast Avengers in the back.
I do.
Yeah.
So
I do too.
Ron. So
Don't
Ron,
forget about me.
That's right. So Ron, why don't you tell them again? I don't think anybody was here when you gave what your answer was for the question.
For Marvel, Thor is my favorite character, and Avengers is my favorite team with a close second for Defenders. So that leads into what yours is.
There we are.
Hey,
Thor is my favorite character, and Avengers is my favorite team.
Hey guys, if you can mute your sound or put a headphone in or something. We're getting feedback.
Hey, Kevin.
All right. Go off,
We're all
Kevin.
learning
Marcella,
together.
welcome. That's right.
What's up?
How are you doing?
So we're answering questions,
Oh.
guys. We're doing well. I posed a question to everybody in the group. What is your favorite single hero? What's your favorite group from Marvel and DC?
Wow,
So
which one do you want to take?
Which one,
What's your
me?
answer?
I'll take Marvel. I don't really have any DC.
All right, so go and tell them your Marvel selections while I make up some DC ones.
No, you can go first. You're fine. You got this.
I mean, Marvel for me, I've been a Spider-Man guy since I was a teenager. So team-wise on Marvel, I would have to say, I mean, just going back to the titles I read when I was a kid, just X-Men. It's really what most of the stacks in my bedroom were Spider-Man and X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
DC, I'd have to say Batman and Justice League. I mean, I think I had all the DC figures when I was a kid, and my parents, one birthday, I conned them into getting me the actual Justice League play set, and I think that kept me pretty fired up for like a year or two. So
Nice.
I think my mom still has it somewhere. She's got that in an Ewok tower in a closet somewhere that I gotta get my hands on.
now I do have to admit, back in the day, Saturday morning cartoons, loved me some Justice League on Saturday morning.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, for sure,
Good stuff.
for sure.
With Wendy, what the Wonder Twins.
It was the Wonder Twins. So you've got Zan and Jaina, and then before that you had Wendy, Marvin, and Wonder Dog.
Exactly. Yes.
So just so everybody knows, if you're coming to cartoon questions and cartoon trivia, just step back. Okay? That's all I got time.
Well, I told y'all my favorite guy was the Silver Surfer, but I've just got to show this. This is my pride and joy right here.
Nice.
Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah,
really
and
cool.
I have all 18. I have 1 through 18. But this, when I started collecting about a year and a half ago after my grandson was born, this was the first thing I went and got because this was one of the first comics I had when I was a kid.
Those are hard to find too.
It's nice to get something back you had when you were a kid that you
Yeah.
lost.
Oh,
You know, that's always so rewarding. That's a great feeling. You know, Ron, I was going to say, I have to tell you, with Donny Cates writing Thor now, I have just absolutely fallen head over heels for the whole story arc. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going back now because I want to know more, and I'm slowly but surely I'm piecing together the God of Thunder run, the Jason Aaron run, and just like, you know, like some of those keys that I've asked you about, you know, with the Ravens and stuff like that. It's so cool, and I think Donny Cates is doing he's just hitting it out of the park.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
amazing so far.
He's got a brand new take on Thor. The next one to piece together, there's two runs that are older. The Walt Simonson run on Thor
Okay.
is absolutely wonderful. And then there was a run on Thor before that, and I'm trying to remember. I think it was Mark Grunwald or
Okay.
Rory Thomas.
Yeah, I need to look up the legacy numbering of that
But
of Thor and
it
just see
was
how the
when they
legacy
were
numbers
on the Viking ship in the middle of outer space. It was just such a fun run.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's what I find that's fun that I'm really starting to enjoy outside of Venom is anything that has to do with, like, I guess like what you would call the the outer space characters. I don't know. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Cosmic
I
is what
enjoy
they're calling it.
anything. Yeah, I enjoy anything to do with like Thanos, Galactus, Silver Surfer is a lot of fun too. It just seems like there's like infinite possibilities for those storylines.
Yeah,
It's funny you
so-
should mention Thanos, Brandon, because I happened to get the other day on, I don't know if it was Ron's cell or Brent's cell. Anyway, I picked up Silver Surfer 50, Volume 3.
Oh wow.
And and when I was putting it into my CLZ app and everything, I noticed it's a part of the it's a prelude to the Infinity Gauntlet. So
Okay.
I looked it up. I looked up the reading order. So now I'm going to be on a mission to get all 51 copies that either tie into that or the Thanos Infinity Gauntlet or the tie-ins. All 51 comics is going to be. I love crossovers. Even if it means that I have to have 2 of one comic, because I'm kind of anal about. Well, this is how this is my comics all here, and then I've got some more in the closet. But so I'm real anal about how I have my comics organized. So like on my crossovers, even if I've got something in a crossover, say in my Avengers, I want a copy also to complete my crossover section, so that I don't have to go dig it from another box.
Gotcha. Keep it super detailed, man. That's cool. That's cool. So, but yeah, really enjoying that new Thor run. I'm just gonna confess that I'm a big time Donny Cates fanboy. No shame in saying that.
No.
None at all.
Thanos Wins is I started collecting again a little over a year ago now, and somebody told me, they said, "Hey, you got to read this Thanos Wins story." They're like, "You just got to read it. I know you haven't been reading a lot of comic books, but like this is so cool. Like read it." So I did, and like I was blown away by it. It is probably my favorite comic book story that I can ever remember reading. Outside of I really loved Lethal Protector when I was a kid. It was just my favorite.
Now,
But
Brandon,
Thanos Wins
have I
is
introduced
incredible.
you to Sam De La Rosa yet?
I met Sam actually. I was at the CBCS signing that they did with Donny Cates and Sam. But I think that was January 20th of this year.
Yeah.
But I went to that, and I had a chance to meet Sam there and speak to him. Really nice guy, man. Really cool, and some of the stuff that he does with like his remarks on his books and stuff like that. Really awesome stuff, man.
Yeah,
Sam's a real nice.
he lives right around the corner from Brent's story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know. I knew he lived in Texas, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
he was
We
that
have
close.
him in the store every once in a while. And going back to
make sure I know next time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, going back to Donny Cates, we had Donny in the store when Baby Teeth came out, and it was right before he started his work with Marvel, and he had all of these tattoos on his arms, and he said that whatever character he does, he gets a tattoo, and there was a Fantastic Four tattoo on there, but he still hasn't done that yet. But he was so stoked about working for Marvel when he was at even though that he was there to talk about God Country and Baby Teeth and Redneck, because those were his creator-owned stuff. But he couldn't tell us exactly what he was working for Marvel, but he was stoked about working for Marvel. Because he actually interned with Marvel back when he was in college.
Yeah, I listened to his there's a Ryan Stegman does a podcast.
Yes.
and sometimes I listen to Ryan Stegman's podcast. Donnie's on there a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, their little podcast is a lot of fun for anybody that hasn't checked it out. But his aspirations, Donny Cates' aspirations for what like he wants to do and what he hopes to do and stuff in the future are just like through the moon. Like he's talked a good bit about like he would like to write Buffy, which like my girlfriend is absolutely obsessed with Buffy. And like, so she doesn't know much about Donny Cates, but like I've been explaining to her, like, this guy, everything this guy touches basically turns to gold. And, so I think he would do something pretty interesting with Buffy. I would love to see what he would do with something like that. I've even heard him mentioning wanting to do Batman before he dies.
Yeah.
And I think about that. Like, I think about the capabilities. I look at what was done with just some of the other stuff, like what's been done with Venom. He's taken Venom in a completely different direction than the Venom that we all remember from decades ago.
And the cool thing about what he did was he took Venom in a different direction, but still keeping it with the continuity that was there. Because he took what Jason Aaron did. Now, he and Jason Aaron are good buds, and I've always said that they look at each other and say, "Oh, you think that's a good story? Well, hold my beer."
Is that Loki or whiskey?
That one was whiskey and scotch. My two beagles are whiskey and scotch.
The Brent's dog is Loki.
Yeah, mine whiskey blues and scotch on the rocks.
Well, I have Loki, Penny, and Ella.
Okay.
I imagine Brent and Ron probably never got out of collecting since y'all both own comic book shops. But Brandon, what got you back into collecting? And I ask because I'll tell you why I got back in and some things that I've noticed since I've started collecting again. What got you back into collecting?
So basically, what it was is I have like a favorite writer, okay, and it's Chuck Palahniuk, and Chuck Palahniuk wrote Fight Club, the book that obviously was the movie, and he's written a slew of books, okay, but like he got hooked up with Dark Horse at some point, maybe 4 or 5 years back, I think, something like that, to do a sequel to Fight Club in comic book form. And like Fight Club is huge to me. It's like I read Fight Club the way a religious person reads the Bible. Like, I mean, I've got half the book memorized probably, but
you can't talk about it.
That's it. That's the whole thing, So anyway, Dark Horse did a Fight Club 2 sequel, and they've actually done a Fight Club 3. But I was collecting those issues. I went to an LCS and I said, I want to sign up for this Fight Club 2, and I would like to do a pull box where I get it issue by issue just so I have it. And then eventually I think it was 11 issues the Fight Club 2 was. And when it was done, they released it in the hardback, and like I went and bought the hardback and stuff. But then they did Fight Club 3, but it was in the comic store where I was talking to somebody that was in there, and they were like, "Hey man, have you ever read Thanos Wins?" And I was like, "No, I don't know anything about it," And they started telling me about it, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, like this person mentioned Cosmic Ghost Rider to me, and explained to me who Cosmic Ghost Rider was," and I'm like, "No, wait." Like that can't be. And he was like, "No, just trust me. It is. It's Frank Castle, and I was just like, how? How could anybody even write this? And it was just something that blew me away so much. And I mean, my girlfriend got me for Christmas, she got me the hardback of Thanos Wins. And actually the very last time that I saw Ron was at Son of Con in Houston, which was probably the last con that I think there was before COVID closed everything down.
Yeah, I've been calling that the last con on Earth.
Yeah.
I think that was, man, and I'm happy to be there. I was working out of town that week, and so like I knew Ron was going to be there, and I told him, I said, "Man, I'm going to meet you in Houston," and so I did. And I'm so glad I went. That is a very, very cool little con with a lot of great people. I had a great time that day. Very small event, but like because of that, it was very more. I don't know. You just talk to more people. You meet new people and stuff like that. It's not like going to Fan Expo or something like that.
No.
It's completely
just
different.
so you know, that's the way all conventions used to be back in the 70s. In the 70s,
I would have loved to.
All the conventions were like that. You had one or two, maybe, comic guests, and it was in the basement of a hotel, and it was all comics.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, what was it for you, Michael?
Well, real quickly, it's funny on Comic Con. I just went to I'm 56. I'll be 57 this year. And went to my very first Comic Con just a couple of months ago. It was North Texas Comic Con. Loved every minute. I mean, I bought the early bird pass and everything. So I'm a huge Bob Layton fan.
Okay.
And so I wanted to be sure to get in early. But anyway, Brent knows this story because when I first met Brent, I've been buying my comic books online and everything, and I've never been to a comic book store in my life ever. I grew up the late 60s, the 70s. I graduated high school in 82 and then went in the service. And that's kind of pretty much where comics ended for me in my life, except later on in the late 80s when they did the Death in the Family. I went and bought all 4 of those. And when they did the Death of Superman, I bought that. But really pretty much comic books ended for me in 82. So, from like 68, 69 to 82, those were the years I was in the comic books. Never went to a Comic Con.
I opened my first
Never
comic
went to
store
a
in
comic
1982.
because
Really?
for me, buying a comic book then, back in those days, where I grew up in San Antonio, we had a chain of stores called Mr. M's. And it's kind of like 7-Eleven, right? And they had a pinball machine and they had a spinner rack. And that's where I'd go play pinball. That's where I'd buy my comic books. And if I didn't buy the comic books there, I bought them at a brand new chain of grocery stores that just started up called Skaggs Albertsons, now known as Albertsons. And
Yeah,
so
I remember Skaggs Alpha Beta when I was a kid.
Yep, I remember that too.
My grandson was born about a year and a half ago, and I don't know. I've always kind of obsessed about, leaving things for like my son. So then I had my grandson. What am I going to leave my grandson when I pass away? Not that I'm planning on passing away anytime soon, but I'm just kind of anal that way. I think ahead, and I'm like, if something happened to me tomorrow and he never really got to grow up and know me, what would best define his grandfather, his papa?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, man, it would be comic books, because I'm a huge comic book, superhero movies, that just Star Trek.
I think that's awesome. I think
So
that is
I
really,
started
really
buying
awesome.
comic books. And when I first met Brent, when did I meet you, Brent? Was it late February, I guess?
Yeah, I think so.
Right about the time of the Comic Con. I went in and I went in. I finally got up the nerve. I'm like, I've been investigating different ones, and there's one over here in Lake Worth close to me, the Sci-Fi Factory. And I went in there and I wasn't real enthusiastic about it. For one,
it's not a bad shop. I've been in there a few times.
And he didn't have back issues, and that, like I'm looking for. I'm a bronze. Brent will tell you, I'm a Bronze Age guy. That's all I'm pretty much.
Okay.
And so I went in and introduced myself to Brent, and I said, man, I pretty much buy my comic books on eBay or from mycomicshop.com, but I'm like, I feel like I want to find a home, a place that I can call home. Hey, I'm on a meeting right now, son. And I said, I'm not afraid to spend money. This is why I'm doing it. I'm building this collection for my grandson so that when I die, he's got something that came from me that I built for him. So that's what got me into collecting comics. But I've noticed on some Saturdays when I'm in over at Keller box diving, there's usually a couple of other old farts like me in there doing the same thing.
Picking through boxes.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
when I went to the Comic Con, I noticed a lot of old guys, and I'm thinking to myself, what is it about us old guys? Are we researching for our youth or what? I don't know. Maybe Ron or Brent's got an idea.
Hey, Michael. Just a heads up, when we were naming this show, and Ron's like, he said, how about two guys, two old guys talking about comics. I almost came back and said, how about two old farts talking about comics?
Yeah. So
I'm not far
my
behind you
story. Ron and Brent already knew about it, but I'm always curious what gets people back into comic books. When it's been years since you've.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. So what happens is you get into comics as kids. because it's always something that either your dad or your uncle or somebody buys you and gives you because they experienced them and they love them themselves. And you get into comics and you stay into comics through high school, and then probably it depends how avid you are. When you discover girls or guys, whoever it is, you kind of drop off and don't buy for a little while. But then when you come back to it a little bit later in life, when you have a little bit more disposable income and you can actually afford to spend on it. So that's what I've always seen happen.
Yep.
You can buy those things that like you wanted to buy when you were a kid.
Sure.
The things that you looked at, and like those things are actually attainable, and that is a big draw for me as well. I mean,
yeah.
Well, mine's even evolved into, of course, now toys and figurines.
Me too.
So,
Me too.
like, I'm obsessive about these things called Racing Champions. They're fine pewter figures. And so I'm buying them up. There's 17 of them, and I'm buying them up off of eBay. But those, and then, of course, I like buying prints, autographed prints from various artists. And then just I like movie prop stuff. Like I just recently got the Captain America, the EFX cards that Agent Coulson had on the Avengers. I bought those.
Oh wow.
That's cool.
Wow.
Well,
And stuff like that.
Let me share a story with you guys. So growing up, here in Central Texas, which is down in the Waco area, my parents, they didn't make a lot of money. And one of my absolute favorite comics and toys of all time is the Micronauts. And as a kid, when I was growing up, they were coming out in the late 70s. And I would get a piece here and a piece there, but I never got the big ships, or I always missed out on certain things. We just couldn't find them, or, they were too expensive for my parents to afford to buy.
Sure.
So, fast forward years later, I'm in my, late 20s, early 30s, and I've gone to work for Wizard Magazine, living living in New Jersey, working in Manhattan every day, making some decent money. And all of a sudden, they came out with a brand new reissue of all the Micronauts stuff, all redesigned and new in Japan. And I said, you know what? And I said, you know
game
what?
over. Game over.
I said, I'll have them all. And
hey, let me show you something. Speaking of Wizard, Brent, I told you I thought that would be fun to have. And I started buying up Wizards. I'm like, that'd just be fun just to have.
The articles.
Wizard has some awesome artwork in it.
Yes.
And some awesome research. I mean, when you want to research anything that came out in the 80s or 90s, in the late 80s, early 90s, you just can't do any better than Wizard to research it.
Well,
Well, it
Brent,
had a lot of those
I
good
gotta know.
90s,
Did you get the entire Micronauts collection?
Okay, I'll tell you what. Here's what, and I literally have like Rubbermaid tubs full of these toys here at the house. No joke. I did a spreadsheet, and I know, and again, we're talking about this is what, 10 or 15 years ago. I probably spent $4 or $5 grand buying stuff, just on those toys. I'm missing 2 pieces, I think. One of them is a Japanese Toys R Us exclusive, and then the other one was some other exclusive that I just couldn't get.
Are they just like impossible to come by?
Man, if you find them,
one of those kind of deals.
Yeah, the Toys R Us exclusive is like super hard. It's like major expensive. And
they do sort of like variant comics. They do variant type of figures of these things.
Oh right. Yeah. They'll do a complete repaint, or they'll do a mold in a different color plastic, or just all kinds of stuff.
That's one of the things that when Brent and I first met back in, when did we meet? Probably 86.
They're killing me now.
Yeah, I think we had just stopped riding dinosaurs and we had moved to horses at that point.
So anyway, I think it was 86 when 86 or 88 when Brent and I met. I had a store up here in Fort Worth, and he was starting a store down in Waco. And we had a retailer organization that we started up here in Fort Worth called CBRI, Comic Book Retailers International.
Wow.
We had the North Texas chapter, and Brent and I bonded pretty quickly over Micronauts, because Micronauts was one of the very first, when I knew I was a collector, when I went and actually made sure that I had every issue of a comic book, Micronauts was the one that I finished. So we bonded pretty quickly over Micronauts.
Bob Layton did
Sure.
a lot of artwork on Micronauts.
Oh,
Yeah.
And what I told Ron before you guys got in here is growing up, I didn't have a comic book store here in the town that I grew up in Central Texas. I had to go to Waco, which was half an hour away. And it's at one point Micronauts was monthly, then it went bi-monthly, and then it went bi-monthly direct store, direct market only. And what I would do is I would buy the book, and then I didn't want to miss it, so I subscribed. And then I found out later that subscription orders came 2 weeks later, and I was always able to make it to the store before then, so I bought another copy. So for a period there, I have 2 copies of everything.
You were collecting doubles.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, absolutely. And just so everybody knows, if I had to pick my 2 favorite, Marvel and DC, Micronauts is my group.
With Defenders being a
I would have
close
never
second.
guessed.
Yeah, exactly. Defenders being a close second there. So fun
Excellent.
stuff.
Who's your favorite
Well-
character?
Favorite character?
Yeah.
Probably.
I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to set the
Okay.
phone down for a minute.
Alrighty.
Sounds good, Michael. For me, it's a toss-up, really. I mean, the characters that I like never really had their own books, but I am a big fan of Valkyrie, Hellcat, and probably Incredible Hulk would be the other one that I really enjoyed from Marvel. If I had to pick my DC, my absolute favorite DC character would be Firestorm, Ronnie Raymond. Absolutely
Okay.
love Firestorm. Love that character.
It wasn't just Ronnie Raymond, it was Professor Stein.
And for
also.
Stein, I know, exactly. But for me, it was that 80s, 90s series that Pep Broderick was the artist on. That is the definitive Firestorm for me,
Now-
because that's the one that I bought growing up.
Did you
Sure.
start the Firestorm story because you knew Pat Broderick's art from Micronauts?
No, absolutely
okay.
not. I
Okay.
started that because I went into the store and I walked up and I saw that cover with Firestorm doing this number on the cover and the blue-black background with all the different characters in the background. And there's 2 things that will get me to pick something up immediately, or 3 things really. Superhero, number 1. Number 2, if it's an origin issue or a first issue, I'm all on board. And then number 3. Anytime they show different characters all together on a cover, I have to know who they are. I'm just drawn to it. And then my favorite team from DC is Teen Titans, the Wolfman Perez era.
Oh,
Teen
yeah.
Titans. That's a good one. That's a good one. I
Yeah,
always
that's-
forget about Teen Titans.
That's
If you
still
have-
a show that you and I want to do, or that you and I need
Yeah.
to do, is the because Fabian Nicieza has said that he based New Warriors off of New
Yeah.
Titans, and I would like to
You
go
can
through
tell.
and do a series or a show about how New Titans and influenced the New Warriors so much.
Oh, yeah.
in the Marvel universe.
The one thing
I'd
think
love
about
to hear that, actually.
about the new Teen Titans that I think I probably love more than anything else is the artwork and the writing are probably the best you're going to find in any comic out there anywhere. And the fact that they started a storyline and did not end it, and everything that they did was working towards a goal, to one end goal. And they started this storyline and dropped little pieces of the mystery into the whole story for 5 years. Okay,
Yep.
till we finally got the
50th
conclusion.
issue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Judas
Wow.
Contract. I
Wow.
mean, it was amazing. You don't see that anymore.
No.
Nobody stays
No.
on books that
Well,
long.
Yeah, I was going to say
No.
that's because they don't allow people.
Or they
to stay on
reboot
books that
them. You know,
long.
they get 12 issues in and they reboot it and they start it back
Yeah.
again at 1. That's something that I kind of dislike about books now. I
Yeah.
got to be honest. You know, I get why they do it. You know, I mean, like I don't know. I think about like Kate's doing Guardians of the Galaxy, and then they just started it over again. And now it's Al Ewing, isn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing Guardians now, yeah. And,
Yeah,
and I haven't read any of that, but I need to.
I'll tell you guys. I'll give you 2 pieces of advice. If you haven't read it, you need to read them. Is you
Okay.
pick up the Wolfman Perez, the New Teen Titans era storyline, and you can buy it all in trades or get it in hardcover. It is worth every single penny to read because it is the best read you'll ever have. And then the other one that is high on my reading list is the Great Darkness Saga from the Legion of Superheroes.
Oh.
God, I knew Ron's right there with
Yep.
me too. And you can get
That
that
one
in
was
trade
Keith
also.
Giffen and Paul Levitz. Paul Levitz and Keith
Yep.
Giffen.
I've had a
for
hard
DC.
time bringing myself into any of the really new stuff. I told Brent I'm thinking I want to start a subscription for the
Michael,
Snyder
this
the
is all
Capello
80 stuff.
the what is it? The death metal, the new death metal
Yeah.
Batman that's coming out.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I might do that, but I'm so stuck on the Bronze Age. And then of course I have moved into the 90s, especially with Batman. I really done I dove into Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns and got hooked. So then I got DK2. And then I just acquired my big acquisition. It should be in probably the end of this week. You guys, you're going to think I'm nuts, man. But I splurged. I found a sweet deal for all 202 of the Dark Knight, the Master Race, all 9 issues plus all 190
All the variants. Yeah.
variants. With the exception of the
wow.
1 in 5,000 Jim Lee, which is a 1 in 5,000 Jim Lee's nothing really more than the blank variant with him having sketched something on
Yep.
it.
I'll have that for you,
Oh, wow.
Keller, on Friday of next week. I'm just kidding.
So I got
yeah.
that coming in later this week. That's my coup de grace. I mean, that is going to be the cornerstone of my because I'm very freaky about Brent. I think Brent's figured it out. I like variants. If I'm getting something, I want the variants. And
Well,
I
I
want
tell
all
you
the
what,
variants.
if you're getting
I'm
the
a sucker
new,
for variants too.
yeah, if you're getting the new the death metal, we've got some exclusive store variants that we'll be doing that you'll really love.
Oh, yeah, count me
Oh,
in,
wow.
Ron. I'm
Wow,
down with
yeah.
that, man.
And-
I am down
And
with that.
Brandon, for you, I just got in a ton of Carnage and Venom store variants.
Oh,
So-
really?
Yeah, I'll be
Really? I
posting
know-
those in an album tomorrow.
Yeah, that one that we talked about, the one that you showed me a while back, like
Yeah.
that's my
Oh, yeah.
I've got
The
that as
Venom
my
25.
home
Yeah,
and
the
lock
Venom,
screen on my phone now.
yeah, that one's going to be totally cool.
That is
But
beautiful
yeah,
artwork.
I've
That is
got
beautiful
several.
artwork.
I got several of the store variants for. I've got a full set of the Absolute Carnage versus Deadpool store variants.
Oh, really?
That were Tyler Kirkham, and those are only $10 each.
I think
then-
I have some of the Kirkhams. I know I do.
Yeah.
I'll have to look and see which ones I have, but I
Yeah.
collected all of Absolute Carnage, and I collected all of the little minis that went along
Yeah.
with it, and I've got like several variants. I think I've got an entire short box full of Absolute Carnage. You know, like there was really that much of it, but some of it was really, really neat stuff.
Speaking of Wizard Magazine, that's how I started getting beyond the Bronze Age and finding out about some of those some of the 90s artists that I really like Todd McFarlane and all those guys that went to Image Comics, Rob
Eric
Layfield,
Larson.
all those guys.
Yeah.
That's how I learned about them, was going back and reading some of those old Wizard magazines.
Sure.
Oh yeah, Wizard covered everybody. Let me tell you, and they love the Image guys.
Image was
That's
a big
for sure.
deal. You know, Image
Oh,
was Image was a big deal when I was a kid, and I remember when it came on the scene, and like if there was a new Image book that came out, like we just automatically went and bought it, just because it was something Image, and like
Yeah.
I don't know, we had this idea or something that like Image was more edgy or something than Marvel
Well, it was,
or something,
you know, it
and I mean,
was-
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it was really with Spawn. Spawn was a violent comic book. There is no two ways about that.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
and that's
Ron,
what
Brent-
Todd just got through. He posted earlier today or yesterday that when the comic stores open back up, he wants to do a Spider-Man Spawn crossover.
That I would be in
Wouldn't
on
that be an awesome way for comic
Oh,
stores to open back
man.
up?
Absolutely,
Yeah, it would.
absolutely.
Brent, Ron,
Absolutely.
maybe y'all can answer this because y'all are my age or thereabouts. In the 70s, see, all these Top Cow, Image, all these guys, these are things I'm just now learning about. All I remember when I was a kid was DC and Marvel. That's it. I did. Were there any other
plenty.
comic?
Charlton.
Yeah.
Charlton was around back in the 70s and 80s. And then First Comics started in the early 80s, and so did Pacific.
Yeah, you had Pacific first. You had Eclipse.
I forgot about them, yeah.
Innovation started, Kamiko. That kind of started the wave of independents that were coming out at the time.
Kamiko did a wonderful series by our good friend Bill Willingham called The Elementals.
That's great.
An awesome series. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bill went on.
Yeah, I can remember reading like around that time, that the 90s and stuff like that, seeing like Valiant comics and stuff like that, and then
I just got into
stuff like
Bloodshot.
that. I mean, there was a couple little offshoots here or there that I remember buying issues of, that were outside of the
for
realm of
Valiant
the big
back
three.
then.
Yeah. You guys probably don't know that, but like I've worked for Valiant Comics back in the day. I worked for Wizard Magazine.
Wow.
So been around, seen a few things. Here.
Man, wow. Yeah, I didn't know. You've got quite the story.
Here's something interesting too. So when we opened our store in Waco in the 90s, I opened the same week that Valiant launched and Wizard Magazine launched issue number 1.
Wow.
And then we saw the rise of Image after that throughout that time.
I can remember being in 9th grade and issues of Wizard coming out, and they would get passed around like they were Playboy magazines or something. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. Between about 4 or 5 of them. You know what I mean?
Playboys
like
for
somebody
nerds.
somebody would always be carrying around this raggedy, almost falling apart issue of Image that somebody had probably spilled the Dr. Pepper on or something, and but everybody just read it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everybody knew what was coming up, and Wizard was huge, and I really, really miss Wizard, to be quite honest.
I do too.
If Wizard was still a thing, I would absolutely be subscribed to it.
As much as I hated the price guide part of it, I loved the magazine.
Did you feel like the price guide was kind of skewed, or?
Yeah, the price guide was obviously whoever paid them the most advertising revenue.
Okay. Can you attest to that, Brent?
and since Brent was selling advertising revenue back then.
Well, from what I can tell, when I thumbed through mine, they were sure high about Image Comics.
And Valiant.
They're the ones, that stable of artists.
They're the ones that pushed Valiant like crazy.
I can tell you guys some stories. Let me just tell you that. Okay. I remember there was a time when Diamond Comics held their annual event, and Frank Miller was at that event, and he got up to give his speech, and he held up a copy of Wizard Magazine and said, "And this is everything that is wrong with our industry today." And ripped it in half.
I had read that he had a feud with them.
Well, let me just tell you this. It allegedly, I'm going to say that, allegedly, it was said that
cover your ass.
I am. That's why I said allegedly. It was said that he was persona non grata. And no one was to write about, talk about, mention, or promote any book that he ever did.
Yep.
And that's Frank Miller?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
that was after he tore up the Wizard Magazine. Yeah.
Okay.
This is allegedly because, the Spawn, I think one of the Spawn issues that he did and stuff showed up in the magazine, so it could just be hearsay,
So, were you at the Diamond meeting when Neil Gaiman got up there and talked about Dutch selling the tulips?
Well, is that the same story when he talked about the Invisible Woman and Reed Richards?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep, you were there then. Okay.
I certainly was. For a long time, I had a set of diamond glasses.
Oh, I still have my Carl Barks one. I still have my Carl Barks Scrooge McDuck
Yeah.
diamond wine glass.
What they would do every year, guys, is at when they would have the sit down dinner for this award ceremony, they would have these beautiful wine glasses that were etched with like the year and the anniversary date and all that kind of stuff, and they had them all on every table. And people would leave them, and some folks would go around and gather up a few and take them home.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I would have been one of those people. I would have definitely been one of those people.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm all about free swag. I'm all about free swag.
Well,
if you got a free sticker to give me, I'm all over it.
There you go.
Well, Valiant did the free beer one year.
Oh, man, I know.
All of the stores. That was pretty cool.
And do you know, when I got to Valiant, I got to go in through the vault in the back room, and then we found cases of that stuff.
Wow.
The dark
now, but
it was the dark brew and the Armstrong Ale. We found both of them.
Yep. I still have a bottle of Armstrong Ale.
Listen, guys. I have been wanting to ask this question, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Ron for a while. With everything that's going on. But I am really curious to hear what both of you would have to say about what is going on now, and what are there going to be any long-term repercussions to local comic shops after this is all said and done? I mean, it seems to me like it would be hard for some shops to survive. There's certain shops that I look at and I'm like, no way, they'll make it, you know what I mean? But then like there's other shops that are local that I look at and I'm like, man, I don't know how these guys are going to hang on. These are the people that have trouble with people coming in and not picking up their sub boxes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that's a problem for them anyway.
That's universal, though. That is universal.
Sure.
It's going to be hard.
Let me piggyback on Brandon's question for y'all to mull this over along with what he's at. That's because I love that question, Brandon. Because I've been reading CBR articles, and of course I told y'all I follow Twitter. I love Twitter. So I follow a lot of the artists on Twitter and whatnot, and some of the stuff I'm reading is this pandemic. What's going on right now is could totally just devastate the comic book industry, and I think I read more about that after Diamond Publishing or whatever the publishing company is decided to go on hiatus for the time being. That some of those comic artists on Twitter are just totally freaking out over all this stuff.
Well, yeah, it's going to hurt everybody. It's even shops that, you just can't survive without new stuff for very long,
Right.
And I'm not a digital person.
Well,
I'm tactile. I like holding it in my hand.
Yep. So I watched some videos and stuff this morning from some retailers that were talking about this very question. And not to be doom and gloom, but I mean, it is going to change the landscape of the comic book industry. There is probably at this point about 23 to 2,800 stores out there, give or take, or 20, probably 23 more in that neighborhood. It would not be a stretch to say that we'll probably lose about 20% of the stores in the market. At least, at the very least.
God, man, that's a big number.
It is, and
20 to 25% is what I think.
Yeah,
at least of the bricks and mortar stores. Yeah,
and the question was put to a retailer who has an 8-store chain. He's like, hey, you got an 8-store chain, you would probably think you could survive this longer than anybody else. And he said, but no, the reality is that it hurts them more. And then he said,
because they're a chain.
Well, right. There's a lot of resources going on there. He's got 50+ employees,
Brent and I could talk about that because we had 8 stores or 9 stores at one time. And we finally closed them all down to just 2 because it was so much easier to run 2 stores than it was.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, stores of the magnitude that y'all have and like the back issues that you guys carry and stuff is like, I can imagine that's a lot to keep up with.
But the other thing to think about too is that how it's going to affect the comic book stores, it's going to affect every single thing up the chain. It's the Diamond is going to change the way they do business, and I think the relationship, based on probably what Todd McFarlane said, he actually said something in an interview that came out yesterday. I can't remember.
That was in Forbes magazine.
In Forbes, yeah. He said something that I've been saying for a very, very long time, is that having one distribution point and a monopoly within an industry is not good, because it can kill an industry, and I think that's what's going to happen if they're not careful.
How did Marvel and DC never end up distributing their own comics?
Marvel tried.
They have
Marvel
tried.
They've
tried.
Yeah, they almost killed the industry when they tried.
Wow.
So that's going to happen. But the other thing you got to remember too is there's a lot of small publishers that if Diamond can't pay those publishers, they can't pay their creative, which means they're going to go away too. They're going to go away too.
Right.
So I mean, it doesn't affect just us. It's all the way up the chain.
Shops.
And then the other thing to remember too is that comic book collecting is somewhat of a habit as well too. And anytime you take people out of a regular habit, you're going to lose
buying,
people.
of purchasing. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the number that I've heard batted around is that, when everything comes back and the stores do reopen, you're going to lose anywhere from 15 to 20% of your customer base, because they're just simply not going to come back. They're going to have found something else for that money. And it's, I mean, think about that, that in itself is pretty tough.
Yeah, because it will be at least
it's why
6
I
weeks
feel
before.
Yeah, I look at all this that's going on right now, and I mean, I'm so passionate about comic books. I really am.
Sure.
And I fell in love with this harder than I did anything else. And so I feel somewhat of almost a sense of duty or obligation to support the retailers that take care of me, that literally take care of me, because I'm a regular customer, a perfect example is Ron making sure that I didn't miss out on Batman '89. I had gone in a few weeks earlier, and I heard that Tinian was taking over the run, and I wanted to sub again because I like James Tinian. I like what he did with Something Was Killing Children. I wanted to see. I thought it'd be fun to see what he could do with Batman. So at 86, which was the first issue with Tinian, I went back in. I set up a pull box, and I said I want the Batman in my pull box. Well, something happened. It was a crazy time with '89 when '89 dropped. Everybody was just freaking out over it. But I called Ron, and he made sure I got an issue. And he said, you know what? He said, you're in my store every week. You spending money. I'll make sure you get one. And he, so I think about things like that, and I'm like, these guys take care of me. If there's anything that I can do, I mean, I'm not a rich guy or anything by any means, but still, I mean, these guys get used to me coming into their stores and spending, 15, 20, $50, just depending, or whatever, a week.
Sure.
And it's something that's good for all of us. We interact. That's our chance to see each other, talk about new stuff that's going on. And it really, really is a big time depressing thing for me, because that's my moment, is Wednesday in Comic Con.
What did I tell you today when I stopped by? I told Brent today when I stopped by, and Brent said, how's it going? I'm like, well, other than the fact that I can't come in and go in the back and dig through the boxes, it's going okay. I don't get over to, I've been over to Ron's store once. I'll get over there more. I generally go to Keller, but that's because I live over here.
Right.
That's
Sure.
my local store. And, and I agree with you 100%, Brandon. That's why I'm so, I try to join. Of course, they're doing their shows during the weekdays now while I'm still at work. So I don't get off till 6:30, but by the time I get home, it's a little after 7. But I always try to participate, and I take it personally that Ron and Brent, that I'm trying my best to help them stay healthy. It's personal mission for me.
They've always taken care of us. You know what I mean? They've always taken care of us. And so it's I know that feeling very well. So
we appreciate that, guys, very much.
That. Yeah.
And I'll tell you something else too. I mean, the other thing to think about, and we need to all keep this in mind too, is that when this is all said and done and things do come back, the market it's going to take a little bit of readjustment, but I think a lot of what the publishers are talking about, maybe doing a Marvel DC crossover or Spider-Man Spawn crossover, those are the kind of things that they're talking about, making it an event so that when the market does come back, it's that kind of thing that brings everybody back in and gets everybody excited about it.
Sure,
Again.
it's kind of like a punch in the arm, you know.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
need to bring George Perez out of retirement if they're going to do another DC Marvel crossover.
Well, but here's what I want you guys to think about, though, is think about this. We have all these people and all the companies and everybody that are having to sit still and shelter in place and not really do anything. Think about the amount of creativity that's being stifled right now that they're not being able to produce or create something. And imagine what's going to happen when the gates are opened up again and we get this flood of amazing new comics and product and stuff that's coming out. It's going to be a great time. I have always said, it's been a saying that I've had in my life is, change is good. Okay, it's the result we may not be happy with, but change itself is good.
Mine is the only person that doesn't like change is the only person that does like change is a baby with a wet diaper. Nobody else likes change, but it's good when it happens.
Well, without you guys, without Brent and Ron going into too much detail, I don't want to be personal, but I kind of want to. I guess I'm going to address the gorilla in the room. I coined the term the other day, just out of fun, the nerd herd, and we're trying our best to support you guys. Obviously, we can't do it all. Are you guys doing okay? Are you surviving? Are we going to have comic book stores in Fort Worth and Keller to come back to when this is all over? I mean, what's the deal there?
I tell you what, you guys have been awesome. You guys
have been
absolutely awesome. The big thing that we've been worried about is making sure to pay our staff. We've been able to pay our staff off of the live sales. We've been able, luckily we don't have a diamond bill to pay anymore.
Yeah, right.
So that's our next biggest, thing each week. But yeah, you guys have been awesome every week on the live sales.
Yeah, thank you.
Good.
No, it's great that you guys are doing that, and it is kind of a way to connect with everybody that you're used to seeing on a regular basis, when you people that you're used to seeing face to face and having conversations with, and Ron is, I go to the Fort Worth store, so Ron is always one of the first people I seek out, and
that's why we were excited about doing this show too, is because
I think this is great. I think this is great. I think this is absolutely fantastic. And
I've been enjoying, as much as I miss going to the store. I tell you, I have to be honest with you. I kind of enjoy the live sales, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I don't get to meet all that many people at the store, but I've met a lot of folks on, like Charles and Nathan and James and Ben and Brandon and all the guys, that are there almost every day at one of the sales. And it's really weird. I'm getting to know everybody's buying habits. So when I see certain people on, if I see James on, and I know that Ron's going to be doing a lot of Uncanny X-Men, I'm like, man, I got to have my shit together because I'm going to have to be working hard.
Yep, that's true.
Well, if you ever get Venom, if you ever see Venom books flying, you just better know that my typing fingers are pretty fast.
Well, hey, you better be on here on Saturday, Brandon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll tell you.
One of the other customers was in my store earlier today, Josh, and he was talking about that too. And he was talking about how it brings out the competitiveness in him. And he's buying books now that he wouldn't normally buy, but he's like, he sees who else is on the show, and he's like, I'm going to get that before they do.
Exactly. That's exactly.
If they want it, it must be good.
Well, we have the same thing happen. We have the same thing happen when I put the static auction sales up and the 24-hour ones. You can just watch and see how many people bid at one after another trying to get that book.
Well, did you see what I did to Michael Meeks last night? And he snagged me, man, at the last minute. I thought I had that one.
Yep. It happens, that's for sure.
But it's
I
fun
will.
when you can, but it's fun when it happens with people that you know,
Oh yeah,
even if it's knowing
yeah,
through the shows. But it's like once you get to meet them in person, then it'll be even that much better.
yeah.
Well,
That's so true.
I've put it on the group page, and I'll say it here again. And whoever's watching that's not on with us, I'll give my right nut. I'll just say it, my right nut. When the stores get at one of those two stores, there's got to be a Saturday get together, reopen. Let's all get together and celebrate, sort of kind of thing.
Right. I think so. I think it's gonna be a great idea.
It's
Well,
so the live shows have been great. And what I find with these live shows is that, and I mentioned this to you guys earlier in the chat, was that you guys do such a diverse mix of books, and a lot of this stuff I've never seen, and I really don't know a lot about, especially having only been back in for a year. But like between here and like Duncanville, and Duncanville's another one of my favorite stores. Andy's a great guy. I enjoy interacting with Andy a lot too. Very, very nice guy. He's always been really good to me and taking care of me as well. But like that's a scoot for me. So I usually don't get out there much. But same, just like you. I mean, if I know you're going to be at a show or something, I know Andy's going to be there, I'll try to get out there. And but some of these books that I've come across that like I've gotten in the past couple of weeks, are things that like I didn't even know existed. And like this is one particular that I just think is an absolutely amazing cover. This is Thanos #3, and it is I don't know if something glare is showing, but like it's the Galactus cover, which like I just I'm obsessing on Galactus now. Somebody asked me, my buddy asked me the other day, he said, why do you like Galactus so much? And I'm like, you know what? I like anybody that refers to himself in the third person.
So
You refer to yourself in the third person, you've sold me, man.
Well, you probably don't remember him, but there used to be a politician by the name of Bob Dole. He always referred to himself as Bob Dole.
So Brandon, you need to read the history of the Marvel Universe.
That came out last year, right?
Yeah, it's set. The trade paperback just came out, and it's it's a wonderful book, but it's set at the end of the Marvel Universe, and it's Galactus and Franklin Richards, and they're the only two people left. And Galactus was the person that started the Marvel Universe because he was part of the universe that happened before the Marvel Universe.
Right.
So he was the one that came over, from the universe that died before. So Galactus was telling Franklin the history of the Marvel Universe. It is the best.
Oh, that's
book.
what that story is?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been trying to familiarize myself with the Galactus story a little bit, and just like reading about like how he came to be, and basically he was I guess he was something like a human or something at one point. He was just a man or something, and then
in the other universe he was a man.
It's like the sixth universe was destroyed or something.
Yeah.
And he was the only one that was left, and like he found that he had like an insatiable hunger, to devour worlds basically, and it was a moral thing where he was trying to devour planets that were uninhibited or something, and then like it just got the better of him where he felt the desire to, take planets that were inhibited by people and stuff like that, and it's a mind-blowing story.
The other story that's really good with Galactus is if you get the Ultimates 2 story, and it was written by Al Ewing. And
Al's incredible.
Yeah, the Blue Marvel and Black Panther and who else was in there? But they convinced Galactus that he wasn't really the devourer, but he was the gardener. And so he started creating worlds that replaced all of the worlds that he devoured. And then when that ended, he became the devourer again. But yeah, it was an awesome storyline.
A great storyline.
Wow,
that was awesome.
Wow, yeah. I need to check that out.
I was going to go back to the live sales. I know one thing that it's done for me is generally, the way I had been approaching my comic book collection, and it's just like I would get hooked, like I would work. I've been working on the Avengers forever, and I'd work on that and or Batman. And so I pretty much have a ton of Batman and Avengers, and then a little bit of this, that, and the other. But with these sales now, I've really been able to start adding dividers to my comic book boxes, because between both of y'all's sales, I've started beefing up my Marvel team-ups, my Marvel Tales, my Uncanny X-Men, my Amazing Spider-Man, my Spectacular Spider-Man. And
Are y'all alternating the shows each night? Is that how y'all are doing it?
Yes, we are.
Say what, Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just
Yeah, we
asking if y'all were
alternate.
alternating. Okay.
Yeah, we do.
So, like, I don't know. It seems like I get notifications. You have a separate page. That's what it is, don't you? You have a separate page for Keller.
Yeah, it's we do. I do
Okay,
mine on
that's
Keller.
what-
He does his on Fort Worth.
I was gonna say, because the only ones I ever see is Ron. I need to get on the Keller page as well.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah, I'll do that. Do that when we get done. I just
Cool.
thought about that, and I'm like, why do I? Well, the only ones I ever see are Ron's, and
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Just to go and
Yeah.
subscribe to the page, and you get notifications.
right, exactly.
Yeah, and we posted in all the groups all of the different times for the pages as well. There's a big thing
Sure.
on there with ours and other stores. So
Yeah, that's
right.
where
Guys-
we have the post with Andy's shows
Yeah.
and Wayne's shows and Jeremy's shows
Mhm.
also.
yeah. Well, guys, we've been at this for about an hour and 45 minutes, which is
It's been
45
great. It's
minutes
been great. I've
longer than
enjoyed
we
it.
were going to go.
All right,
But it was fun.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun, guys. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it, and feel free to come back. We're going to have
For
some
having
different formats and stuff.
Yeah,
Sure.
next
Thanks
week
for
will
having us.
be
Yeah, this was a lot of
talking to you guys.
yeah,
Thanks
next
for having
week
me,
will be a
guys.
lot more about the creators. So we'll have some creators on here. I'm hoping to get some. So next week will be local creators. The week after that will be more like this with some game show stuff thrown in. And then the week after that will be hopefully some non-local creators that I'm talking to right now
Sure.
that will be able to get in here and talk about stuff too.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
Wow, that
real
sounds
quickly, how are
fantastic,
we
guys.
doing, Brent, on the 1,000 comic challenge? How are we doing?
I'll have to check. The last time I think we were at 187 or 89 books.
I got okay.
Yeah. We need to get
Ron,
more
could I-
people involved because it's like only 3 or 4 people that
Yeah.
are posting. I know we're reading more than that, and Captain Blue Hen is already over 1,000. So
Yeah.
we just need to get more people involved.
We will.
Okay.
We will.
Challenge to read 1,000 comic books during the quarantine. Is that what the deal is?
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Okay.
You
So
hashtag
all you
1,000
have to
comic
do
challenge.
is all you have to do is write a short little 1 or 2 sentence blurb on the book,
What you read.
list the book, the issue number, and then do a hashtag 1,000 comic challenge, hashtag
Yeah,
collected.
yeah. Somebody
Yeah, I know
tag me on that or
Charles,
something.
Ben, myself, and Matt. What's his name? His last name starts with X. Yeah. We've been knocking away at it, but I think we're right around. I think you're right. I think we're right around 200.
Yeah, right in the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
We've got a
We'll
little
post.
group.
We'll post all of it again in the Facebook groups and on
Yeah.
the pages, so you guys can pick it up and take a look at it.
And
okay?
I've got about
Right.
6 more that I need to go ahead and
Yeah.
do also.
Cool.
All right.
All right, guys.
Hey, it's been a
Been
lot
great.
of
Yeah,
fun,
it's been
guys.
great talking to you guys. Been great talking to you guys. Thanks for
Brandon,
having me.
it was good
Nice
seeing
to
you
meet
since
buddy.
I haven't
Nice to
seen you in
meet
the
you.
store.
We'll have to hook up sometime.
Yeah.
Maybe drive down to drive up. I've never been over to Duncanville. Maybe Brandon, you and I can hook up and get Charles and Ben and a couple
Sure.
of us, and we'll drive over there and go to Duncanville. I've never been over there.
Sure.
He's got a pretty
He's
awesome
got a great store too.
Yep.
Andy's a really
He
nice
does.
guy. Andy's
Yeah.
a really nice
Well,
guy.
I'll
right.
do it. It's like I told Brent, though. I'm pretty partial to my collected stores.
Well, Andy's a
Well,
good guy.
hopefully
too.
we'll all be
We
back together
appreciate
soon
it.
enough, guys. Yeah, hopefully
Oh, yeah.
we'll all be back together soon enough. So,
Definitely.
All right,
yeah,
guys.
thanks again for having
All
me on, and I look
Thank
forward
you
to
for
talking to
joining
you guys
us.
soon. Yeah, and
All
you
right.
guys take care, all right?
All
Take
right.
care, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Hold on a second here.